Good morning. It's Saturday, May 3rd. And this morning I want to talk about something that affects everybody. And I've never really thought about it because I've never really been in a situation where it mattered that much to me. And I'm talking about the price of food. Now, the price of food had soared, that's according to the article's headline, has soared over the last decade, outpacing income. Now, that's a factor that has to affect many, many, many people in this country because we still have 50 million people living at the poverty level. So food prices go up, they're getting screwed even worse. And what's causing the price of food to go up? Well, I didn't get a straight answer from anybody about that particular thing, except that does keep going up, and they soared in the Big Apple. And that puts more New Yorkers at the risk of going hungry. And that's a situation that could get worse because of the federal funding cuts and the implementation of tariffs. And that's in some new report that came out. And over the past decade, the cost of dining out or eating has risen by more than 56%. I have always been in favor of going out for a good meal. And I can tell you that going out for a good meal now costs me a hell of a lot more money than it cost me just a short time ago. I mean, it's not unusual to sit down with my brother or my son or something like that as two people eating out in an inexpensive restaurant, and the bill is $60 or $70, including the tip. And that's for nothing fancy. You know, ham and eggs, something like that. And you're paying a fortune for it. But it never dawned on me until I started reading this article about how much that has changed. And our pre-tax income in this particular region has only grown about 52% or so. That's less than the cost of food has grown. So we're falling behind. And that's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And the report also found that food in the 5 boroughs and Long Island and the surrounding community has jumped more than 25% since 2019. That's a huge jump. Did anybody's income jump that high? So low-income households, as you can imagine, are spending significantly more on food than before the pandemic. And you know what? The price of going to the movies is astronomical. So imagine the food price going up, the price of just going to the movies going up. When will people making an average income be able to continue to live a decent life without worrying? And that's because we don't pay attention to these things. And now, when you look around, every family has both parents working. That's not how it was when I was a kid. My mother stayed home, although later on she did work. When we were teenagers or something, she was able to work, and she did. And my wife worked only for a short period of time because she was lucky because I was making a decent living. So when you look at this, you see that national food spending, which averaged like $9,000, a little over $9,000 a year, has gone up to something like $11,000 a year. Now, I never put that in perspective. I never counted how much money I spent on food. So $8 or $10 or $12,000 never entered my mind about the total I was spending on food. But now you got families, and this is horrible, this number. We got families now who earn less than $15,000 a year. What's going on? That's crazy. How can you live on $15,000 a year in the United States? I don't know if you can live on $15,000 a year anywhere. So when the price of food goes up, it's a big chunk of that change that disappeared. But it doesn't affect people who are making over $200,000 a year. It doesn't affect them much at all. But the average person is getting decimated by the price of food. So you have people who have major pressure being put on their budgets because of the increases in food. And they're not getting the raises to cover the amount of food. So how? How are we going to continue to grow this country if the price of food is putting people in the poorhouse? So, from 2021 to 2022, the price of food went up nearly 10%. And it's gone up again and again and again. Those are the highest increases in food in over 40 years. And the pandemic had something to do with that also. And now you got the implementation of tariffs and potential cuts to the federal food budget and other things like that. So support programs that help keep the food prices down are disappearing. And last month in a new poll that was commissioned by the nonprofit organization No Kid Hungry in New York found that 56% of New Yorkers have taken on additional debt in the past year because they are struggling to feed their families. And of course, this affects the blacks and the Hispanic more than the whites. But that's because they are in the lower income brackets mostly. And women of color are being hit the hardest. And I'm assuming that's because they're individual women and they're working to support themselves. But we have prejudice in this country. And I'm sure that there are many companies that don't pay the women on an equal scale with the men. And they may also not pay women of color the same as they're paying white women. But that's a whole other subject that we could get into at some point in time. Meanwhile, food prices have risen far, far out of whack. And I hope that most of you out there can afford to be in that situation, can afford the cost of food. So I think it's a terrible national problem. But I don't know that we can do much about it right now. So I leave you with that this morning. Not hungry, but angry. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.